Now, what were the major military responses? First, you know that India had destroyed 9 terrorist bases, 4 in Pakistan and 5 in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. And these were considered to be important command centers of terrorist organizations like Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba. Secondly, the military response resulted in effectively neutralizing terrorist threats. Okay, a good number of terrorist personnel were killed, and terrorist bases were destroyed, and even those military bases which were offering shelter or training to these military bases also were destroyed. And Pakistan's air defense was overwhelmed through kamikaze drones, which allowed India to conduct its air strikes with more effectiveness. Okay, so clear superiority, technological capability, as well as intent was shown in the course of this operation. What was the nature of non-military response? India declared that the Indus Water Treaty would be kept in abeyance. Now please remember that the Indus Water Treaty was signed between India and Pakistan as brokered by World Bank way back in 1960. And this treaty gave disproportionately larger advantage to Pakistan compared to India in sharing of the waters of Indus and its tributaries. Now this treaty was criticized for a very long time by Indians because it was giving Pakistan an undue advantage in the sharing of water. And this was done primarily because India thought that water should not be used as a geostrategic weapon, because water is source of life and should not therefore be used as a geostrategic weapon. And therefore, please remember that notwithstanding so much of conflict, notwithstanding so much of anti-Indian crusade, notwithstanding so much of aiding and abetting anti-Indian insurgency and terrorism, notwithstanding so many terrorist attacks being launched against India, India continued to abide by the terms of the treaty till 2025. Now please remember that Indus Water Treaty is usually described as a very successful treaty which could even overcome political differences and conflicting situations as well. Okay, but that was primarily because of the magnanimity of India to commit itself to the terms of treaty despite so many differences and conflicts. However, for the first time, India declared that it is going to keep the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance. Okay, now please remember that Indus Water Treaty does not provide for any country to unilaterally terminate the treaty, but it allows the country to keep the treaty in abeyance or in suspension in case any difference crops up. For a very long time, let's say for the last 1 decade onwards, India had been continuously seeking a review of the Indus Water Treaty. Okay, but now India had declared that the treaty is going to be kept in abeyance. India is not going to share hydrological data. India is not going to give any advance notice to Pakistan about any construction of projects that it seeks to undertake over Indus and its tributaries. And India would not hold itself back to use water as a geostrategic weapon against Pakistan if Pakistan continues its terrorism against India. You know, this is a very clear departure in the way India had responded. And secondly, India also closed the Attari-Wagah border. Now, this is a border checkpoint through which crossing and a huge amount of trade also takes place. India decided that this Attari-Wagah border is going to be closed indefinitely. Okay, so there shall be no border crossings. There shall be no border trade between India and Pakistan anymore. Thirdly, India also suspended all bilateral trade with Pakistan. All bilateral trade, which is actually very low, owing to the differences, political differences that both the countries have. But even the low-scale trade between India and Pakistan is very critical for Pakistan, because Pakistan depends on India for products like life-saving drugs or food essentials and so forth. Okay, if India had suspended all bilateral trade with Pakistan, that is going to hit Pakistan very badly. Thirdly, India also revoked visas of all Pakistanis who were residing in India and deported them back to their country. Fourthly, A ban was imposed on all Pakistani artists. 5. India exposed Pakistan's terror infrastructure on world platforms and diplomatically isolated it. So, the terror infrastructure which Pakistan was supporting was very clearly for everybody in the world to see. And that is how India was going to change the narrative about Pakistan, trying to portray Pakistan's aiding and abetting of terrorism as a tool and not something that's related to aspirations of Kashmiris. And finally, India also declared Pakistan's military advisors, diplomatic advisors, as persona non grata. It means people whose presence is considered undesirable for India. Okay, so these were the non-military responses that we can see from India after Operation Sindhoor. Now, how or in what way this operation marks a departure in the way India began to perceive and India began to respond to its security threats. First, please remember the way India had conducted itself through the course of Operation Sindhoor and through the series of briefings given by military personnel, we come to the conclusion that India had firmly established the principle of zero tolerance to terrorism. There shall be no tolerance to terrorism anymore. India is going to strike not only along the LOC, but also if required deep into Pakistani territory and even hit Pakistani heartland if in case there is any terrorist threat that emanates from these regions. Secondly, India also declared that terrorism and its sponsors will be treated alike. So we are not going to make a distinction between terrorists and those who support terrorism or who abet terrorism or who finance terrorism or those who lend support to terrorism or who express sympathy towards terrorists and their objectives. We are not going to make a distinction between terrorists and those who sponsor terrorism. Sponsoring terrorism doesn't only mean financing terrorism. It also means supporting terrorism, supporting the cause of terrorists, aiding and abetting them, providing them with shelter. All these are people who sponsor terrorism. So India is not going to distinguish between terrorists and those who sponsor terrorism. Second change. Third, a new national security doctrine. Any future terror attack will be treated as an act of war against India. So if Pakistan is going to sponsor anti-Indian terrorism, that would be deemed as an act of war against India. And India is going to respond in the way India responds to an act of war against country. Okay, so this is the emphatic stand that India had taken in its response to terrorism. Fourth, India shall not differentiate between government sponsoring terrorism and the masterminds of terrorism. If there is any government which is sponsoring terrorism or abetting terrorism or financing terrorism or providing shelter to terrorists, India shall not distinguish between the governments and the terrorists. So India will treat the governments sponsoring terrorism and the masterminds of terrorism as one. Okay, so if Pakistan aids or abets terrorism, Pakistan is a terrorist state. Okay, India is made it very clear that it's not going to distinguish between terrorists and those who sponsor terrorism and terrorists and the governments which support terrorism. India will consider all of them as terrorists. Now this is going to eliminate the false distinction between terrorists and their sponsors or their state sponsors. Okay, earlier terrorists were considered to be different from the governments which were sponsoring it, but now both are the same. Now this is the new as far as the security doctrine of India is concerned, which we can witness after Operation Sindhoor. Further, India is made it very clear through this operation, indirectly though, that India is committed to responsible warfare. India is not going to target civilians. India is not going to target non-military establishments. India is not going to target innocents. India is not going to target infrastructural facilities, civilian infrastructural facilities. India is not even going to target military establishments where those military establishments has got nothing to do with or has no connection with our campaign objectives. India is not going to target them. India's military actions were limited to terror camps and specific military facilities aiding terrorism. Only to those, okay? And secondly, cross-border precision strikes. It means that India will not say that, see, we've hit this target by mistake. Target identification and target destruction were precise. This is what's called as cross-border precision strikes. So that India would be free from being accused of intentionally killing civilians. That's one accusation that Pakistan almost always levels against India, that India targets civilians, India kills civilians and all that. Well, on the other hand, it is Pakistan which aids terrorists who do not discriminate in their targets. They are ready to victimize anybody. The only thing that they want is to maximize the kill so that they can make greater sound. That's the only thing that terrorists care about. So India had engaged in cross-border precision strikes, okay, only to indicate that we are going to conduct ourselves responsibly in this warfare against terrorism, okay. Now this careful targeting shows India's capability as well as its principled conduct as well as its capability, okay. So this is a new approach towards terrorism against Pakistan. It's what's called as responsible warfare, commitment to responsible warfare. Further, India has also made it very clear that there shall be no capitulation and there shall be no negotiation with Pakistan anymore, okay. India will not tolerate any nuclear blackmail. Please remember that Pakistan had used every platform across the entire world to subject India to a nuclear blackmail, okay, saying that Pakistan had developed nuclear weapons and Pakistan is at par as far as nuclear capability and nuclear destruction is concerned, and Pakistan will not desist to use its atomic bomb against India if India in any way threatens Pakistan's sovereignty. You know, this was the kind of nuclear blackmail that India was subjected to time and again, okay. Now this time India declared its intent never to capitulate anymore to this nuclear blackmail in the future. And also India had declared that there shall be no negotiations. Terror and talks cannot go together. India is not going to negotiate with Pakistan. India is not going to talk with Pakistan because India believes that terror and talks cannot go together. Terror and trade cannot go together. Water and blood cannot flow together. You know, these are the things that India had in recent times declared. No capitulation, no negotiation, unless and until Pakistan stops aiding and abetting terrorism targeting India, okay. This is also the new doctrine that India is seeking to propagate. Finally, reframing the Kashmir narrative. Please remember that Kashmir had always linked terrorism to Kashmir. Pakistan always called terrorists as freedom fighters seeking legitimate aspiration of freedom or independence for Kashmir. Now this was Pakistan's narrative. Therefore, every terrorist act that was conducted against India was in one way or another being linked to Kashmir by Pakistan. But now India had declared that if India is going to talk to Pakistan, it is about when Pakistan is going to end terrorism. And if India is going to talk to Pakistan about Kashmir, it will be only on when Pakistan is going to return the Pakistan occupied Kashmir. So through this, India had shown that the Pakistan narrative is going to be reframed. India is going to decouple. India is going to completely decouple the strike narrative. And terrorism is not going to be allowed to be looked through the lens of Kashmir anymore. Kashmir issue is separate, terrorism is separate. Both of them are two separate issues. You cannot keep linking terrorism and the Kashmir issue. Both of them are two different or distinct issues. Now, this is what's called as decoupling the Kashmir issue from cross-border terrorism. Okay. Thus, Kashmir is now going to be discussed as an issue which is not in any way going to be linked to international terrorism anymore. Okay, this is what's called as reframing the Kashmir narrative. We are not going to allow Kashmir issue to be linked to terrorism anymore. Okay, so these are the new doctrines related to security that India is propagating post Operation Sindhoor. Okay, no negotiation, no capitulation, zero tolerance, non-escalatory, focused and precise response, conduct of responsible warfare. So these are the things which are new as far as Indian military doctrine is concerned, as far as counter-terrorism is concerned. Now please remember that apart from this, the present age of digital warfare, India had also made use of every platform trying to propagate its viewpoint. And India declared that Operation Sindhoor is continuing. It will continue till the objectives are completely realized. This is new as far as approach of India towards cross-border terrorism is concerned.